So what I had mentioned for today that I was going to cover is the market. And I'm going to cover a lot, you guys, and this is one that you'll want to come back to and listen to again and again. I think it's more important than ever for us to be able to interpret and communicate the market in two ways. First, with ourselves so that we understand it, and then secondly, to the market. So in order to do that, where I wanted to start is just walking you through what I consider to be the 6 forces of the real estate market. And before we jump into that, there's a mindset that I want all of you to adopt. And that mindset is this one right here. It's called environmental indifference. I know that I've talked to you about this before, but environmental indifference, there's like the official definition. What I want you to see in here from this is the environment does not dictate my success. The environment does not dictate my success. So what I'll show you today is that regardless of your market, there is still plenty of business happening for you to hit your goals. The question is, are you ready? Are you willing? And are you able? So what we're seeing right now, you guys, is that listen to what I'm about to say. Your level of commitment to your goals is being exposed. And for some of you, that's really great because you've got big, massive whys and motivation to hit them. And there's some of you that you're dealing in what I call stated goals versus real goals. Now, Rainmakers, listen up, because we're in business planning season. And I'll tell you, agents on a team, one of the most frustrating things about being in leadership is people who create what we call stated goals. Stated goals are a goal that you have no emotional connection to. You pick some number out of thin air, you say that's what you're going to do, your activities don't map to it, and when you're held accountable to it, you start pointing at the environment. The lack of, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have this, if only I could. And I got to be honest, that is a really frustrating position to be put in. So you are an adult, and just like when you work with a buyer or a seller, for them to successfully land at a closing table, they have to bring their own personal reasons to succeed. You will not motivate a buyer or a seller. You're not going to talk someone into buying a home. And unfortunately, we can't motivate you. You have to bring your own personal reasons to the table. And if there's a lot of ways to do that, if you're struggling with it, I'm a member of your team. You reach out to me and I'll help you. But the bottom line is that we are not taking stated goals anymore. If you have a goal, you better have some significance and emotional attachment to it. Because for some of us, leading you is like pushing rope. I don't want to push you. Your Rainmakers don't want to push you. Find something that pulls you, and understand that environmental indifference is a mindset that you need. It does not matter what the market does. It matters what you do. Now, as we relate to the market, you guys, there are 6 forces to every single market that you need to understand. And I'm going to walk you through each of these briefly here. So if you'll notice, the 6 forces are laws, people, types, time zones, sizes, and data. And each force is made up of 3 components. So the first one, the laws. The 3 laws of any market are supply, demand, and price. Supply, demand, and price. When supply is high, demand is low. They are inversely related. When supply is low, demand is high. And just remember this, price always follows demand. So where supply and demand are inversely related, demand and price are directly related. And these are the forces first that dictate and ultimately determine a market. Now, the other piece are people. For you, there's 3 different types of people that are in any market. There are buyers, sellers, and agents. So buyers who buy, sellers who sell, and agents who ultimately help them conduct those transactions, right? Now, the cool thing about this is I believe what we're going to see over the next few months is a mass exodus from most major markets. My prediction is 15 to 20% of the current licensees in any major market are about to exit the industry. I can promise you that the conversations at the dinner table right now are that you are not making enough money and you need to go get a quote unquote real job. So the good news for us is, even though closed units are continuing to go backwards, the people chasing closed units will ultimately go backwards as well. And where I believe we are, if you notice that top gray circle, and I know I've said all this before, but you need to be reminded more than you need to be taught something new. That top gray circle, that's survival. That's where we're at. That means, you guys, just put deals together. Do what you have to do, whatever it takes. If you have to match make, call for sale by owners, expireds, door knocks, open houses, your goals and your relationship to them are being exposed. Remember that. Remember that. Now, the next thing are the types of markets. There's 3 different types of markets: buyers, balanced, and sellers. It's all dictated by one unit of measurement: months of inventory. If you don't know what months of inventory means, it means that that's how many months it would take for the existing inventory to sell off if another home didn't come on the market. So if somebody says we're at 2.5 months of inventory, that means it would take 2.5 months, or roughly 75 days, to sell everything that is currently active. Now, that determines the type of market we're in. So 0 to 4.99 is a seller's market, 5 to 6.99 is balanced, and then 7 plus is buyers. And it's so interesting that as we look at where we are, and I'm talking to most of you, what I'm hearing is anywhere between 2.5 months to 3 months, which if we were talking back in 2015 or 2014, 6, 7 years ago, we would be praying for a market of 2.5 to 3 months of inventory. I was on the phone with Brittany Winnery the week before last, and I was telling her about when I was in production, we had 12 months worth of inventory on the market. 12 months. So it would take a year to sell everything that was available. So keep that into perspective, that even though the inventory and things are creeping up, it is still a fabulous market compared to where we've been in the past. But make certain that you're talking to people about this. Like when you're at a buyer or a seller appointment, a great question that you can ask is, you know, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, you've probably heard of buyers markets and sellers markets, correct? And they'll say, yes, cool. Do you know how we determine the type of market we're in? Do you know what the unit of measurement is that we use to determine the type of market we're in? And they'll usually say no. And that's where you can start educating them on where we are. And when we think about like where we're the next force of the market, it all ties together, but the market exists in 3 time zones: the past, the present, and the future, right? So the reason this is important is when you're talking to the sellers and buyers of today, it's important for them to understand the type of market we're in as it exists in this moment. But it's also important to let them know, here's where we are trending, especially on the seller side. I said this last week: 2 skills you have to nail: pre-qualification and pricing. If you're pricing for the market of today instead of the market we're going into, then you're going to have a lot of difficult conversations down the road. So the more you can educate them on this, the more they understand it, the easier it ultimately is to navigate them through the decision-making process to price the property properly and ultimately get it sold. That's the work of a listing agent, you guys: pre-qualification and pricing. If you can nail those 2 things in this market, it's just like one of my mentors, Tony DeCello, told me, it's like printing money in a basement. Same thing on the seller or on the buyer side, but you've got to understand pre-qualification and creative financing. You have to understand the options they have available to them to get into the home with the absolute best loan product. Now, we said 3 time zones, right? And then there are 3 sizes of markets. And I know I'm throwing a lot at you. That's why I want you to go back and rewatch this. But there are 3 sizes of markets. Macro is the national real estate market. Meso is your city or your MLS. Micro is the neighborhood or the zip code, the subdivision that you were ultimately looking to price inside of. So that meso word is one that gets left out, but I think it's important to understand, like in my market, in Kansas City, there are certain markets where if you go east of one street, your property value drops by 35%. So markets can go all the way down to the street or neighborhood, and we're always looking at it from the macro down into the micro. But when people say the real estate market is this or that, a great line that you can share with them is real estate markets are hyper local. Saying that the real estate market is bad on a national level is like saying it's going to be 78 degrees today in North America. Just like the weather, there are independent factors that drive the volatility of any market. That's why you want a professional like me, because I'm always navigating people through this decision-making process. So those are the three different types of, or the three different sizes of markets. So then we get into data, you guys, and data, the things that we want to look at that are really important. This is where you get into the education of yourself. So the first one are the four vital signs of a market. Now, this is open to some debate. So I'm totally open for any of you who feel that maybe I got this wrong, or you would add or tweak, whatever. But I think the first vital sign of any market are new listings. So listings that are coming on the market. The second thing are days on market. How long is it taking the new listings to go under contract? Third are the showings. For most of you, you have an independent third-party showing company. Most of you, it's Showing Time. You guys, Showing Time has amazing reports that very few people know about, and you can chunk it all the way down to $5,000 increments inside of certain subdivisions, zip codes, MLS areas. And think of that, think of showing reports like a fish finder. It's like you're in a boat and it's saying, here's where you need to go and drop your bait right into the middle of this school of fish. That's what the showing reports are. So if you're not familiar with those and your market uses Showing Time, or most everybody is using the same third-party showing company, get in there and see what's available to you. And then lastly, I think it's contracts accepted. Those are the four vitals. Like, those are the things that you really need to pay attention to if we're talking about where's the market headed. So new listings coming on the market, average days on market, showings, and then contracts accepted. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you is what's called the lore report. Let me see if I can get this to work. Can you all see that? Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, so you guys, we're going to supply you with this spreadsheet today in the Facebook group. And my intention, Rainmakers, directors of operations, listen up. The first meeting of every month, as long as it's, past the 5th or the 6th of the month, I want you to come in and fill this report out. This is your office or your team. We did this for a market center that I'm an investor in. And so this is through September 30th, year to date. And we're tracking these numbers. Now, we didn't have access to the MLS. We do this all through broker metrics, and we couldn't quite find average days on markets or showings, but you should be able to find both of those numbers in your MLS and or Showing Time. And then here's the entire MLS. So think of this like the average realtor or the makeup of all realtors in your area. And then what it does is it will compare you. So for example, right now, listings signed, we're down 8.6%. The market is down 9.5%. So we're actually outperforming the market by 0.9. Now that's not a great number. And yet everyone's going backwards. We're just not going as backwards as they are. Now, this section is important, but because we had such a transition in this year's market, I think this other section is more important. So this is month over month. So what this is looking at September 2022 versus September 2021. And again, we're doing it for your team or office, and then we're going to compare it to the market. So if you'll notice, our listings taken are down 20%. Now we're hanging in there as far as listings taken volume. Rainmakers, this is one thing I want you to pay attention to. Artificially inflated prices are what are padding your P&Ls. You're doing okay right now. And the reason is because you're making up your lack of units in GCI and volume because prices have accelerated higher than what we thought. So just keep that in mind. It's not a bad thing. It's just one thing that you don't want to get into this idea that you're doing better than you actually are. Leaders see things for how they are, right? Average list price, as you can see, is way up. This is definitely not Nashville where it's 650 or 6 million or whatever it is that they do out there. But look at that right there. Contracts accepted. See, now I'm starting to think like, oh man, are we going to lose money in November? Because this is the stuff that's going to pay us in October and November. We've got to dial in. So like the thing we're working on there, and it didn't really work out, if I'm being totally transparent, is getting bold in. But that's where we've got to rally and stay focused, you guys, because it could be a very dark winter. Contracts accepted volume, as you can see, are continuing to fall. Every number here, if you'll notice, with the exception of 2, which have to do more with, well, I guess you could say this, but these aren't from activities. Those are just the markets giving us a gift. Every number is down. And when you look at the market, same story. So what I would want you to do is look at this, you guys, directors of operations especially, please listen up, fill this out and create talking points that you, your agents, everyone in the organization can go out and have an educated conversation with your buyers, sellers, vendors, whomever you're talking to. If somebody asks you how the market is, don't say it's good or it's bad. Say, you know, the market's really interesting. Tell me what you've heard. Tell me what you've heard. Not, oh my God, the market, It's not an opportunity to vomit. But here's what I want you to get, even though the numbers are down. Like, for example, if I'm coaching an agent that lives in this market and they're saying, okay, I've got to get 10 listings each month to hit my goal, or I need to get 20 listings to hit my goal. What I'm factoring is how much of the available market do they need to hit their goal? So if their goal was to hit, let's just go right in the middle, 15 listings in the month of September. Well, 15 divided by 978 is 1.5%. 1.5%. So you guys, you do not need a big piece of a small pie. You need a small piece of a big pie. If you're a buyer specialist and we're looking at contracts accepted and your goal is to get 8, you had 892 opportunities in the month of September. So let's take 8 divided by 892, and that's not even a percentage of the market. Don't buy the bullshit. People are still getting married, promoted. They're still having babies. People are still dying, getting divorced, and are in bad debt. There is plenty for you to hit your goal. So in your mind, remember what we said we were going to practice? Environmental indifference. The environment does not dictate my success. I am independent of the market, and there is always more than enough for me to hit my goal. So guys, the other thing that we're going to post today, besides the spreadsheet, we will post that today in the Facebook group, is one other just piece of material that if we're looking at the market from the macro level, that we'll start getting you guys every single month is the KWRI multi-year trends report. Because Keller Williams is big enough now that that report will give you an idea of how the national market is trending. So when we post in the Facebook group today with the spreadsheet, we will also post the KWRI multi-year trends report. That's just another thing that you can be looking at to understand the market. But get this. You have got to show up with confidence today, not resolute doubt. We need absolute certainty. That comes from understanding. It comes from competence. educate yourself on the market. This should only take 60 minutes a month. And then use that to go out and help people navigate the decision-making process to buy and sell real estate. So any comments, questions, concerns, excitements, anything that you guys heard here that you want to add before we jump into our breakout rooms? Jordan said we use those reports for weekly emails to our sellers, show we're outperforming the market. That's really good.
Yeah, Matt set up a system where we put like how many showings we procured versus how many the market has had for that price point. And then like feedback from open houses, there's a whole system that we have to basically show them like we have outperformed what's going on in the market. We're doing our job. This is average days on market. This is where's yours is at, et cetera. And then it sets up the conversation for a price reduction. We also include a comparative market analysis in every seller email on every Thursday.
So Jordan, I know we're going to get asked for you to share that. So
Sure.
Where would people go to get that? And thank you, by the way, for sharing.
I can post it in my Facebook, Real Estate Plus Real Life, or I can post it in your Coaching with Jordan Freed.
Okay, why don't you post it in both places and put the link to your Facebook group in the chat. Dylan said, great opportunity to be a local economist of choice. That's right, Dylan. The thing about that is everybody talks about it. Very few people actually do it. Jason said, be confident. Love that. And then Shaw has stolen the show. I love this comment. Let's take everyone's lunch money. That is great. So be like Shaw, go take everyone's lunch money. I don't know if you've ever seen Shaw. I don't think I would want to steal his lunch money. I don't think I'd win that fight. So, all right, guys, I know today was longer than normal. This was recorded. We will post it. Spreadsheets, KWRI, multi-year trend, everything will be there. If you're having trouble with it, anything, whether you're a rainmaker, director of operations, you're on a team, I am available to you. Reach out to me and I will help you any way I can. All right, y'all, looking forward to talking to you this week. See you soon. Bye-bye.